In the late 19th century, the Parisian art scene was rocked by Impressionism's revolutionary approach, which liberated color and light. But the post-Impressionists, while inheriting this vibrant palette, sought more. They moved beyond fleeting impressions, exploring deeper emotions, symbolic meaning, and intensely personal visions, creating a diverse and dynamic new artistic era. Among these artists, one figure stands out, both for his bold artistic innovations and the deeply troubling aspects of his personal life: Paul Gauguin. He sought not just a new artistic style, but a new way of life, a rejection of the bourgeois constraints of his time. But his quest for authenticity was deeply flawed, his vision often clouded by his own biases and desires, and his legacy forever intertwined with controversy. Born in 1848, as the son of a journalist and a Peruvian mother, Gauguin faced early hardships when his family had to leave France for political reasons. Tragically, Paul's father passed away during the sea voyage to Peru, and at the age of 19 he experienced the loss of his mother. Gauguin took an unconventional path toward his eventual career as an artist. He initially worked as a sailor in the French merchant fleet for 6 years. Later, he transitioned to banking, becoming a successful stockbroker at the Paris Stock Exchange. In 1873, he married Meta Gad and had 5 children. And while financially successful, Gauguin spent much of his income collecting art by established artists, and only dedicated his own artistic endeavors during his free time. Gauguin began studying with the established artist Camille Pissarro, who provided him with guidance and support. While initially challenged by the technical aspects of painting and drawing, Gauguin ultimately made significant progress. Gauguin lost his job when the French stock market crashed in 1882, an occurrence he saw as a positive development because it would allow him to paint full-time. A few years later, Gauguin separated from his wife and left his 5 children. This marked the final break from his bourgeois life as he pursued an uncertain future as a painter and printmaker. His first major journey as an artist took him to Pontevin in Brittany, where he joined an artist colony. He then traveled to Panama to work on the Panama Canal project, but was dismissed after only 2 weeks. After Panama, Gauguin moved to Martinique, seeking escape from Western civilization. Despite his disillusionment, he returned to France and Pontevin, where he saw better opportunities for his art career. Seeking a new artistic direction, Gauguin was inspired by the naive drawings of Randolph Caldecott, which were used in a guidebook about Brittany. He imitated these drawings and sketches of Breton girls and later developed them into paintings in Paris. His painting for Breton women shows a shift away from Impressionism and incorporates the naive, exaggerated style of Caldecott's illustrations. Disillusioned with Impressionism's lack of symbolic depth, Gauguin sought inspiration in the more symbolic and vigorous art of Africa and Asia, particularly Japan. His painting, The Yellow Christ, exemplifies his Cloisonist style, using bold colors outlined in black, rejecting classical perspective and color gradations. This style later evolved into synthetism, balancing form and color. In 1888, Gauguin traveled to Arles, in the south of France, to stay with Vincent van Gogh, hoping to foster a community of artists. However, their personalities clashed, leading to arguments about art. Gauguin and Van Gogh's relationship eventually deteriorated, culminating in a dramatic event. According to Gauguin's later account, Van Gogh confronted him with a razor, and then later that same evening, Van Gogh mutilated his own ear, presenting it to a brothel worker. Van Gogh was hospitalized the following day, and Gauguin left Arles, never to see Van Gogh again. They did, however, continue to correspond, and Gauguin even proposed a studio collaboration in Antwerp. Gauguin's 1889 self-portrait jug seems to allude to this traumatic experience. However, this traditional account has been challenged by a new theory from historians who suggest that Gauguin, a skilled fencer, may have actually severed Van Gogh's ear during a heated argument, with Van Gogh later fabricating the self-harm story to protect his friend. In 2017, the AGO began displaying Paul Gauguin's Young Breton Woman on loan from a private collection. While the exact location of this painting's creation isn't documented, he likely made this in Brittany soon after his time with Van Gogh, as this was painted around 1889 when Gauguin was 41. This painting reflects Gauguin's interpretation of life in Brittany and his fascination with its people. For example, the young woman's clothing. It connects her to the local culture and its history. The landscape, seen through the window, emphasizes the rural setting. Her face is slightly lowered, and yet the way her eyes still engage the viewer suggests a deeper narrative. And Gauguin's use of two-dimensional simplified forms, bold outlines, and flat colors also demonstrates his synthetist style. However, the woman's expression, along with the other objects around her, invite the viewer to also look at the symbolism in this work. The lower right corner shows an orange statue. As Brittany had a rich tradition of folk religion, this may be a local patron saint venerated in a particular Breton community. Its stylized form contrasts the woman's naturalism, suggesting a dialogue between the present and past, human and spiritual. The statue represents Breton heritage and adds a symbolic depth. The lower left corner presents a slight pattern, possibly a wall covering or furniture, whose stylized motifs bear a distant resemblance to the fleur de lis, the traditional coat of arms of France. Or perhaps this is simply a lily flower. This section contributes to the painting's overall atmosphere, balancing the composition and directing the attention to the central figure. Overall, this painting showcases Gauguin's signature style, but while portraying Breton culture, it's filtered by his romanticized view of rural life. The woman's possibly resigned expression suggests complex social dynamics, open to a variety of interpretations. This work invites us to reflect on art and cultural representation. Tahiti became Gauguin's ultimate destination, a place where he believed he could find a more primitive and authentic existence. But his presence in Tahiti was not innocent. It was part of a larger colonial project, and his relationships with the local people were often exploitive. Gauguin's travelogue, Noa Noa, published in 1901, initially aimed to provide context for his Tahitian paintings and recount his experiences there. However, modern critics argue that parts of the book are fabricated and plagiarized. In Noa Noa, Gauguin disclosed that he took a 13-year-old Tahitian girl as his wife in a marriage arranged within a single day. That marriage appears to have ended once he returned to France in 1893. When Gauguin returned to Tahiti, he continued to seek out younger Tahitian girls as companions and models, fathering children with some of them. He became increasingly disillusioned with the effects of French colonization on Tahitian culture, and sought a more remote and primitive environment. In 1901, Gauguin moved to the Marquesas Islands, where he continued to create art and write. His health declined, and he died in 1903 at the age of 54. Gauguin's art forces a difficult reckoning. We must confront its beauty alongside the complexities of his character and the historical context of its creation. And while some argue we can appreciate art and not the artist, Gauguin's work makes this separation nearly impossible. He demonstrates that artistic brilliance doesn't exist apart from its creator, and that even the most acclaimed artists can be profoundly problematic.